November is upon us, and this looks like to be the best month for new releases we've seen all year. We have the current top new Patreon of 2024 releasing on Steam, as well as one of the biggest games of all time finally leaving early access. As always, all links can be found for free on my Patreon. First up, we have Forbidden Fantasy. This new game from the makers of Fresh Women is releasing with the first 4 chapters of this new franchise. With gorgeous animations and fully voiced love interests, this is a must-play for fans of the fantasy harem flavor. Check out my full review next month. Forbidden Fantasy is available for PC, SteamOS, and Linux on Steam, with an Android and Mac version on their Patreon and itch.io. Next up, we have Falling with Ice Phoenix. This platformer is interesting because as opposed to moving up to progress, instead you move down. I guess that does make it easier to get the drop on your enemies. I really like the combination of pixel art and illustrations alongside the voicing and animations. Falling with Ice Phoenix is available for PC on Steam. From the maker of Love of Magic, next up is Morningstar Book of the Fallen. For fans of the previous series, you may recognize many of the characters as this is a new story in an expanding urban fantasy multiverse. A multiverse of fairies, harems, match 3, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Morningstar Book of the Fallen is available for PC, Mac, SteamOS, and Linux on Steam, itch.io, and their Patreon. Next up, we have Sexy Iron Maidens. From the same publisher as Humans Are Not That Against Lizard Women, we have an unusual combination of game mechanics. You control the turrets of what looks like a massive B7 flying fortress that you also seem to live on while building a harem of recruits. I mean, if I could get behind girls in Panzer, then I guess I can get behind this. Sexy Iron Maidens is available for PC on Steam with a demo on itch.io. Changing pace a little, next up we have the early access demonic possession visual novel, Bright Lord. Mind control themed games have been on the decline recently due to the machinations of MasterCard, so we are seeing developers come up with unusual new ways to tackle the flavor. Bright Lord is an excellent example of this, with its striking visuals and darker themes. Available for PC, Mac, SteamOS, and Linux on Steam, itch.io, and their Patreon. Our next title, Awaken Redacted Dice, would have made the top 10 of my last NextFest video if I had made it after my femboy roommate was banned by Steam. Obviously, it is not just our alphabet overlords that hate femboys. Think of this furry and monster-flavored adventure as a card game, just with dice. Awaken Redacted Dice is available for PC on Steam, Patreon, and itch.io. Speaking of things that are controversial, the name of our next title constantly gets me in trouble, but I want to talk about it. Sometimes this whole YouTube thing is incredibly frustrating. Anyways, I reviewed the supposed completion of this game in May of 2023. We are just now seeing the final 6 out of 18 endings be released as DLC on Steam. Just now. This is a great game, but I can understand the level of frustration that many fans are expressing about this on Steam. Redacted Locator Week 3 Bonus Endings DLC 2 is available for PC, Mac, SteamOS, and Linux on Steam, GOG, and itch.io with an Android version on their Patreon. Next up is the female protagonist RPG, Lutnak Quest. This monster and corruption-flavored adventure released on DLC last summer, and it seems like a solid localization, as long as you remember to get the patch from the publisher. Lutnak Quest is available for PC on Steam, where you can also find a demo. Our second female protagonist game of this month's list is Corruption Town. It may come as a surprise to you that this is a corruption-focused game. And sadly, as it is the case with many corruption-focused games, there is not much that I can show. So I want to take this moment to thank my patrons for being so awesome. Definitely check this one out if you are looking for a more slow burn progression. Corruption Town is available for PC on Steam with a Mac, Linux, and Android version on their Patreon and itch.io. And finally, we have the long-awaited 1.0 release of Subverse. Like, I have been waiting for this since before my channel even started, and I have so much to say about this sci-fi saga. So I will be releasing a video at launch, a follow-up video after I played the 1.0 release from the beginning, and then at the request of my patrons, I will also have a more in-depth discussion in a podcast video about the development of the game and its impact on our industry as a whole. Regardless of if you love this title or hate it, the success or failure of Subverse's launch will have a massive impact on our industry for years to come. So yeah, I have so much to say about this game. Subverse is available for PC on Steam and GOG. There you have it. November is the last month for my Game of the Year awards for 2024, and there are so many contenders. Let me know who you think will be Game of the Year, and while you're at it, I would really love to know which game you think had the best music, and who was this year's best girl. Until next time, no shaming, just gaming.